We raised a Series A. Give me one example of a major company. Well, why don't we flip and move? Over the next month or so is going to be a lot of fun. Developers, engineers have a really bad teleport will effectively become totally free. This is an interesting question. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Slant 3D podcast, the show about 3D printing and our place inside the industry. Today we're going to be talking about Slate Auto, discussing some things around Tangled, a major update to teleport, and finishing it off with who's to blame and who should you blame. But before that, let's go ahead and pay the bills. This episode is brought to you by Teleport. Teleport is our new print-on-demand software that allows anyone to just upload a model so that whenever you get an order, Slant 3D will print the item and ship it directly to your customer for you. No more having to worry about packing up boxes and making sure the machines are maintained and everything is operational and you have the right stuff. You just offload all of that so that you can focus on designing good products and creating a great business around the products that you create. So go ahead and check it out over at slantpod.com. That's slantpod.com. Okay, moving into the news. Last week, a car was released by Slate Automotive. Slate lets you personalize your pickup truck with open source 3D print parts. This is via 3D print or TCT, sorry. A new electric pickup truck is promising affordability and extensive customization options, reportedly enabled by additive manufacturing. The intentionally simplistic Slate truck from Jeff Bezos-backed e-vehicle manufacturer Slate is said to be so customizable, it can turn an EV two-seat pickup produced in a single configuration from its US-based factory, key details there, into a 5-seat SUV with a roll cage, airbags, rear seat. It's also championing a DIY approach to personalization with over 100 attach points built in to allow drivers to choose from and easily install its range of 100 accessories and even 3D print their own. The definition of what's affordable is broken, says Slate CEO Chris Barman in a press release. Slate exists to put the power back in the hands of consumers who have been ignored by the auto industry. And Slate's truck is currently in pre-production and is expected to retail for $20,000. Similar cars have been BMW's Mini Yours customizable series that allowed you to put in 3D printed parts, and Ford's Maverick also allowed people endorse the idea of 3D printed accessories. So, if you are a longtime watcher of this show, you know that I do not believe that customization is a major customer desire because it creates an exceptional amount of decision fatigue for your customers. When they want a thing, they want a thing. And the example that I use to prove that this is true is Apple, who sells the exact same iPhone, exact same Mac to everybody else, and you get an option of 4 colors. And then Tesla, where you can buy a Model Y or a Model 3 for some reason, and you get an option of 4 colors. They make very few products, they make them quite well, and they are quite valuable companies. I would like to request someone in the comments give me one example of a major company whose main selling point is that they are customizable. I do not know of one. The popular products that kind of like almost fall into that range are like Swiss Army knife, but it's not customizable. It's a preset batch of tools. There is no customization in there. I can look at Nike. Nike sells AF1s and then custom branded ones for sneakerheads. And they have tried customization before. It has never worked. Customization is not a sustainable feature. You get a few early adopters. And if Slate wanted to say, okay, we're doing customization to get a few early adopters, then I would be on board and say, like, that's somewhat legitimate. But I don't think that's what they're doing. I think it's an actual feature of the vehicle to say, we have this automotive car that is super cheap and can turn into anything, and therefore it's fine. And therefore it's good. This, I think, is dumb. It is not interesting. Literally, if they had just made a good car that doesn't leak in the rain, or just made the pickup truck, the little mini pickup truck, by the way, tiny, it's small, it's electric, so you probably have plenty of room in it, but it's small. This little thing, if they had just made it for $20,000 and gotten rid of all the tchotchke, stupid light cover customization options, it would have been fine. and it still would have gotten the same amount of attention, almost certainly, because there just hasn't been a cheap electric car out there. I think of all the things that comes out, its price is the big one, because I cannot name a $20,000 electric car that is not made in China. There might be a couple in Europe too, but inside the US, not really. They're all expensive, and an electric car costs $35,000 after tax credits. They're expensive right now. Just being a cheap electric car would have been enough. But they had to put in this modular feature because they felt some engineer was bored, and they decided they needed to add something on top of it because a cheap, good car wasn't good enough for them. You want another counterexample to this? This wasn't meant to be a plug, but Tangled filament. We make black PLA. And right now, we are about a week behind keeping up in production. Didn't need 50 colors. People want the thing they want, and that's all they need. Yeah. So Slate, I think, is a good idea. It'll eventually turn into a cheap pickup truck that is just very manufacturable and made here inside the States and done affordably, but Teslas also already do that. So I don't, the modularization is going to go away because, again, it has never been a successful competitive advantage before inside of any of this stuff ever. So anyhow, there's all that stuff. Sorry, heard noises. Okay, next piece of news. I don't think there's a lot of news this week, guys. Oh, other piece of news. Slant 3D raises Series A. We raised a Series A. We finished a fundraising round. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail right here. A bunch of cool stuff will be coming down, and hopefully this helps us to accelerate a bunch of the stuff that we're doing. That's the main thing, is accelerate and support. Make sure our existing customers are as happy as we can be, and we have fully fleshed out our existing products, and then deepen that and make that better and better and better and better. It's not going to go towards like radical new products or anything like that. It is mainly just making our existing products better and stronger. And those details will be coming out, and actually one of those feature releases will be, we're going to talk about here in a minute. Other news, not really any other news. Since Rapid, there hasn't been a bunch. There's been the stuff around tariffs and that kind of thing, but we've already sort of covered that. Elegoo, the Elegoo carbon machine is still going to be sold for a similar price to the original folks, even though tariffs might be activated by the time they're shipping them, because the Elegoo carbons are coming in June? Late May? Early May? Somewhere around there? Might be tariffed. We're going to see. But they're holding the original pricing and not adding the tariff cost on top. We're going to see where that all lands. But beyond that, tariffs I don't have much of a discussion about. Okay, Tangled. Updates on Tangled. All right, so right now, hang on, I'm checking a thing. Tangled, we have been getting caught up because, again, there's just been the series of like small things, and we've discussed them a couple times before. Spools came late. A number of people ordered 100 or multi-hundred orders of spools. We're trying to get those out to them as quickly as possible. Those pallets take a while to fill, and then also taking care of everybody else. By about the time this podcast is out, most new orders should be going out in pretty much reasonable time. But at the same time, the demand has been rising because, again, tariffs. So people have been looking for alternative U.S. suppliers, and we thank you very much for that. But they just getting caught up and getting ramped up because we should have planned ahead for this. We should have been like, oh, tariffs, there's probably going to be a spike in demand. We didn't think that thought. We were distracted thinking about other stuff, working on other things. So we didn't do much of a tariff reaction. But then tariffs came to town, and we had to start doing stuff. So we're getting caught up and ramping up. The Tangled team has been expanded. We have another extruder. The other extruder is the other extruder for Tangled is getting qualified right now. It just got wired in a little while ago, and we're doing testing with it. So that is coming along. But yes, we should be on the tail end of getting caught up with Tangled. There may be a few orders that are like odd or like larger that might be taking a minute. We should be caught up. But anyhow, and if not, and if you're really mad at us and need your filament right away, let us know and we'll cancel the order. No harm, no foul. One other update with Tangled. So, again, people who haven't been here for a while, we introduced the subscription for Tangled as a way for people to get access to cheaper free shipping. So the reason for the subscription, the quick and easy reason is you can either buy the subscription for $7 and then buy the filament and then cancel the subscription in the same month. Or you can buy the public filament, which is slightly more expensive and also has regular shipping on top of it, which is $9. So that is the reason for the subscription, is to get access to cheaper and lower cost shipping, as well as access to other colors, because we introduced a retail partnership a week or two ago. So there are other colors inside of Tangled now. But the subscription was meant to stabilize demand over time, because we're like, oh, people bought the subscription, they're going to go through. That hasn't been the case. A lot of people have been gaming the system and turning on a subscription, buying a spool, turning it off. So we are probably going to introduce an annual subscription that is $7 per month, which would be $70, would have 80, 77, 85, 84, $84 per year. I hope I mathed that right. Yeah, 70, 10, 77. Yeah, I'm not going crazy. Okay. But so an annual plan for $84, which is $7 per month, and then a higher priced $9 or $10 per month subscription, so that we know who the fly-by-nighters are. That's the big one, is just knowing who's there to stay, so that we kind of know how much demand there is next month and who is there just to try some filament and is a spike because of a piece of news dropped or a video went viral or whatever else it was. Separating the testers from the users. So that will probably be coming down on Tangled here fairly soon in the next couple of months or so. Anybody who has an existing subscription won't affect you at all. We won't do that, but we will upgrade and recreate the existing subscription to an annual and a monthly, to again kind of create an incentive structure to where people end up where they're useful, or where we know what their intentions are. Because this is kind of the point of the subscription, is just knowing what the future holds. So we're working on that. Okay, updates to Teleport. Let's see. Teleport. Major update coming to Teleport. In about this next week or 10 days or so, we will be releasing a totally free alternative to ShipStation. So any existing Teleport users, if you've been using Teleport, a ShipStation account is required, and it has a baseline cost of $10, and that is being modified here in the near future. But we kind of anticipated that something like this might happen, so we started building an alternative a while back and scoping that out. And it is finally coming to finishing up. So the release of that will probably be, here in just days. And we'll have an announcement video when that comes out, and announcements on the blogs and that kind of thing, and in the Reddit community. If you're not part of the Teleport Reddit and you want to know about Teleport, I recommend going over there. Lots of good information, a lot of good folks helping out around to sell, sharing ideas, giving feedback on our parts, which is great. But yes, totally, Teleport will effectively become totally free. At that point, you will be able to sign up and have it for free in perpetuity. No 30-day cycle and then the ShipStation fee turns on or anything else like that. You will just have a totally free alternative, which we're very excited about. Because, the whole mission of Slant 3D has always been how do we enable a kid in a dorm room to start up a product? And being free is important to that. So we always are looking for how we can enable that. And even $10, well, a lot of kids in dorm rooms are drinking a lot of Starbucks and can probably afford it. It's still something that we want to eliminate. This other solution should also open it up better for international options, because there's international sellers who sell through Teleport in order to teleport parts into the United States. So it is going to be useful for that as well. But yes, that will be kind of the first major public update to Teleport in a moment. We have been doing a lot of updates to Teleport over the last several months. You just don't see them. It has gotten a lot smarter. It has gotten a lot more stable. There's a lot of things in there. But this is the first big release. But there are many others in the can that are breaking loose here over the next several weeks or so. I'm not going to telegraph all of those right now. You're going to have to wait for them to come. But they're good. And this first one is probably one of the biggest ones because, it just eliminates that upfront fee and will also eliminate friction in signups. So we expect to see a lot more folks trying to use it. That will be that. Let's see here. Any other updates on Teleport? No, I don't think so. We got all the notes here. Oh, no. There's one other update on Teleport. As of this week, the average shipping time for orders should be below 2 days for the average size order. If you have a set of parts that's like 10 parts, then you might be bumping back up against later shipping times of like 3 to 5 business days. But the average time has been sitting at around 2 days here lately. And we're going to keep on trying to push that down and staying ahead of it all. We've done this both through just optimization in our backend systems. So the routing of projects and that kind of stuff has improved a bit inside of our Kraken system. And we have also just been growing the team. So there's just more capacity, more people going through and just refining the processes around it. So we've basically gone through all the teething of Teleport to where it's like, okay, here's the main bottlenecks, here's the things we're working with, and now we're refining all those processes and getting it all up to where it's happy. So, just lots of good stuff to come into Teleport, and now with this foundation in place, and totally through backlog, totally caught up through stuff, through all the spikes, and knowing how to manage those different dynamics, new stuff coming. So it's going to be exciting. Over the next month or so is going to be a lot of fun because there's a lot of good stuff coming to Teleport. Okay, discussion topic of the, before we get to discussion topic, let's do questions. So, I'm checking the time here. Okay, so if you would like to ask a question for me to answer on the air, you can comment question, what your question is, down inside the comments. If you do not type that in, I do not see the question because we control F these things because there's a lot of comments. We try to cover all the comments, guys. There's a lot of comments. I respond to some, other people respond to others. We do our best, but we get millions of views on our videos per month. It's kind of a lot to keep caught up, but we do our best, and this is the moment to get it done. Okay. Question. What brand model is the industrial extrusion line equipment you use for Tangled? That one. The brand doesn't really matter. Extrusion machines are very generic. They're a very commoditized type of equipment. It is a big screw running through a hot tube. The extrusion lines, literally like the very first extrusion line for Tangled, we actually bought off of eBay as proof of concept. We had some other ones, but that were doing the internal production, but we couldn't use them for Tangled. So Tangled was like, here's the budget for Tangled to get production for it up. And then we found this extrusion line on eBay, and we were like, well, that's going to be a terrible wreck, but let's get it in anyhow, because we have this kind of baseline small budget to try out Tangled and then go from there. Our extruder lines are multiple different brands. We found one that we like decently anymore, but I'm not going to endorse those on a video right now because I'm not sure if we're going to use it for forever. So I don't want to lead people astray. Question, are you aware of ShipStation? Oh, this is the thing. It doesn't matter. We got a free version coming out to replace ShipStation. That'll be out here super soon. It's going to go from $10 a month down to free. And if they ever change the fees or anything on that, which they've kind of been telegraphing they might, we have a totally free alternative. Question, I recently purchased a used Ultimaker S5, which takes 2.85 diameter filament. Are there any plans to carry that diameter on Tangled 3D for a subscriber? No. I'm sorry. We won't. We will never carry 2.85 because it is the wild minority of demand. The vast majority of people use black 1.75 PLA. That is the bulk of 3D printer filament sales by a mile. And Tangled is all about production optimization and focus. So we do the most popular thing first, and we do not diversify or add new stuff until there's just a wild glut of spare capacity to support that. So there's no, we won't make 2.85. 2.85 is not a better format. 2.85 is left over from, I think the only ones left using it are Lulzbot and Ultimaker. Ultimaker was the one who kind of set it as one of the industry standards, I would say, and it's left over from sort of the rep world. But everybody went with 175, and 175 is better because it's easier to keep tight control on it. It's a smaller amount of material, and therefore more motor steps create finer control. So it's kind of like a lever arm natively in the material itself versus 2.85. So no, we will never carry 285. As far as from the Tangled perspective, it is not a format that is economical to produce. Let's see here. Question. What's the coolest type of mechanical part that you guys have printed in mass? This question comes up a bunch, which is, what is your favorite part? What is the coolest part? For me, I've become somewhat jaded because I've seen it all. The coolest parts for me, I don't have a specific one, but the coolest parts for me are always ones where there's like a really interesting use of geometry. So again, like where you use the ability of 3D printing to create an impossible geometry that couldn't be made any other way, and you create a new sort of function or new sort of product. That's really beautiful because you're taking advantage of the technology to do something different. It's the difference between taking a typewriter and putting a word processor on a computer. That's not different. That's just same horse, different color, versus taking a spreadsheet and putting it on a computer. Now you have used technology to create an entirely new and different capability, to where a bookkeeper used to just write down numbers all day and do math, and now a bookkeeper is doing projections and power mathing and all this other stuff in seconds. That's what's really exciting when somebody has a part like that. And they're very rare. They're very rare because very few people really know what like the design competitive advantage of 3D printing is. We did a video a couple weeks ago on the Baker Cube. And I recommend watching it because the Baker Cube is a perfect example of this. It is a very good part, a very good concept that is enabled by 3D printing to such a degree that they couldn't manufacture it any other way. Client projects, I can't talk about any of the specific ones because there is too much detail on that if I discuss it. So I'm going to stay high level on that because that's just kind of the way it is. I can't give out detail. I can't even say like generically, gun parts or something like that because I just can't. What are the best platforms to market 3D designs and printing services? I'm trying to go towards more engineering niche with more complex filaments, PC, nylons, ASA, but I have no idea how to find new clients other than directly through my small network circle. Craigslist is the only platform that gave some results, and I'm starting growing socials with related content, but I'm curious if there's something I'm missing. Quite frankly, the fact that you're using Craigslist and being successful is shocking to me. Because it ain't one of the modern social networks, and quite frankly, it's pretty much been replaced by Facebook Marketplace, at least in the younger generation. So I'm surprised you're having any success from that. But if you're trying to market 3D design and printing services, common ways of promoting it. You can get a Fiverr account to help with 3D design. Start up a Fiverr account, start up a freelancer.com account. That's the way to get 3D design work. If you do 3D design, you need to set up a thanks page and have 10 or 15 or 20 designs there that demonstrate your design capability, and that's effectively your portfolio. And then you share those designs with other people printing stuff, and then people who are starting 3D printing businesses will reach out to you to create designs. That is a slow burn. This entire business is a slow burn. There is no way to immediately turn on $1,000 in sales or something like that. You have to just grind at it. You can ply your craft at more professional product design companies, older product design companies in your area, and say, I'm a loose designer. If you need help, I can help you out. I also know 3D printing, so I can probably knock out prototypes for you. You can do that. I would say that 3D design and the 3D print service are two different businesses. So pick one and focus, because 3D design is a different monster from 3D printing. Very different monster. 3D printing services you can market through Facebook Marketplace, doing particular niches. You need to find a niche on that, whether you sell products or do a service. The problem with services, both of these services, is that you are dependent on other people's creativity to get to you. And there are a lot of other people searching for those people's creativity. So it's just very competitive. I don't have a magic bullet for you. This type of business is a long haul. My first company, Slant Concepts, was a design firm. And the way we did it was we would have internal design projects where we would be working on core kind of research projects, because that was kind of the core focus of the company. And we would get clients, yes, through network, through that kind of stuff. But at that time, we were also working really heavily with Freelancer. And we also ended up working with a lot of like Kickstarters to finalize their product design and that kind of stuff, because we could work at that lower end. And we enjoyed those types of projects. They're not profitable. The product with product design companies and 3D printing companies is you're doing prototypes for startups. 9 out of 10 startups go out of business. So you have very little recurring revenue. You are always looking for a new client because the last one didn't leave you, they just died. So it's a brutal business. Question, is there a possibility Slant goes Europe? Yep. Yeah. But I'm not going to go into much more detail about that. Okay, now moving on to the discussion topic of the day. All right, everything is your fault. We had a couple questions and a topic today that went into this. So, this is an interesting question. Editor, go ahead, cut that out. You can use that in the pre-roll. Everything is your fault. When you are starting a business or really wanting to do anything, there is kind of, you cannot control everything, but you have to take the blame for everything. So I'll make this personal with Teleport. If we ship hundreds to thousands of packages per day, so there, some of those packages don't arrive all right. And sometimes it's not our fault. UPS or USPS or whoever the carrier is may not deliver the package. The package might get stolen off somebody's porch. The package might get run over by a truck. Somebody might drop kick the package into somebody's door. There's things that can go wrong over which we have no control. But it's our fault. So, and at the company, my philosophy is everything is our fault. Literally, if anything goes wrong, it is your fault. And this goes up kind of in all the realms of it. If someone's job doesn't get done, this goes all over the place, because this isn't meant to be blame. This is about responsibility. This is not about blame. This is about responsibility. This is about ownership. At our company, we have the philosophy that if anything goes wrong in the process of the part getting from us to the customer, it is our fault. The reason we take that philosophy is because it allows us to make decisions and strategy and product directions and business model creations that are controllable and that we can actually react to. If everything is your fault, you are in control of it. If anything is external and not your fault but can go wrong, then you're leaving your destiny up to someone else, and you can fail because of someone else. Case of the package. Okay, package gets shipped through, gets driven over by the truck. That's our fault. If it's not our fault, then it's, oh shucks, the post service doesn't take care of it, or they didn't ship it fast enough. And then that just continues to exist, and that problem will continue to exist. Whereas if we say it's our fault, we can take the initiative to figure out how to fix it. Okay, package didn't arrive on time. Do we need to ship earlier? It got broken in shipping. Do we need stronger boxes? Do we need to use a different carrier? Part got broken in transit. Did we pack it tight enough? Guy dropped kicked it. Well, did we not pack it tight enough? Can we set up a reship option inside of the box so that if somebody receives a damaged item, we can just create a scan code to where they can get a replacement instantly? Is that something that we can do? When it's our fault, we can look for solutions because we're a company that is engaged enough and cares enough to improve the customer experience, even into the areas where we don't work with it. You want an example of this? Jimmy, Mr. Beast, sells Feastable bars inside of Walmart. When he was first releasing that, he would send out teams of people to go to Walmart and stock the shelves with his chocolate bars because they weren't getting restocked fast enough. He could have sat at home and said, Walmart isn't restocking the shelves. Instead, he said, no, it's my product. I want people to have a great experience. I'm going to the store, and I'm going to make sure the shelves are stocked so people have a good experience. That's just the thing, taking responsibility for every feature of it all. This goes all the way back to the product design, inside of Teleport or any of those kind of things. If someone is having a bad experience, that's our fault. You can never blame the user. And we don't have a lowest common denominator on this. Developers, engineers, creators have a really bad attitude problem most of the time, which is, I built it well, but they don't know how to use it. That's our fault. If they don't know how to use it, why did we not have a tutorial training up at front? Did we design it well enough to be intuitive? Even if it was intuitive, did we direct people? Did we make it impossible for them to go the wrong direction? Are we giving appropriate feedback? There are tons of areas inside of Teleport where we don't have those things. But since we blame ourselves for this, whenever there is a customer support ticket, we're like, okay, what needs to be improved inside the product to improve this? We never go to the customer is stupid. We might say that once or twice. We might think that once in a while, but it is our fault that the product doesn't help that person because we're trying to build a product for a large number of people. But if you have if we didn't have that attitude, then there is no way to control our destiny and our future. If anything related to your business is someone else's fault, then your business is going to die because you can blame anything from the weather to a flat tire, to whatever the heck, being in the wrong spot. It's all your fault. Boy, Slant 3D, we're in the wrong city. Well, why don't we flip and move? Different conversation. But the thing is that you either accept your situation and deal with it, or you can blame everybody else and just let those external factors that control your life control your life. But if you have no external factors, if you own USPS and you're like, that is part of the system, it fails to deliver the package 2% of the time or whatever the number is. I need to bake into my business model replacing 2% of all packages. And now I don't care. And when that occurs, I'll try to build a customer experience that supports them, like a really quick and easy refund or reship sort of option inside of it. It allows you to then take control back and create solutions to those problems rather than bitching and moaning about those problems. And this goes in a lot of other directions also. Like our delivery drivers. I'm going to stay on delivery because that's kind of like the primary third party. Oh, here we go. Filament's not the right color. We order filament from a supplier. Supplier ships a color that's off or different. I can blame them and beat them up, but it's my fault if the products arrive late. I remember back early in Slant 3D, there was a time when a supplier shipped bad filament. And we produced the parts anyway, and we were like, this was the supplier sent us the wrong material, but we wanted to get you the parts. No, we made the parts the wrong color. The buck stops right there. And you say, no, we're going to find out material someplace else. You're going to eat it yourself and give the customer, your customer, what they asked for. So the buck stops there. Inside of Tangled, it's our fault right now that orders are behind. We need to find a better way of controlling that demand curve. All of these problems are our fault. And it's very freeing because I know that somebody else isn't messing with my life. It's just me. It's up to me to figure out what we got to get done here. And when you adopt that sort of mentality, it is relaxing because you're like, I can take whatever action I need to deal with that, and I am not fighting against the gods. I'm taking responsibility for the situation. If you're a farmer, you can blame the weather, or you can remember you're a farmer, and some years it doesn't rain. So don't spend all your money the years it does, so that you're ready for the year when it doesn't. There we go. So if you're going to start a business, I highly recommend taking... Actually, yeah, I think Jocko Willenick talks about this in a book called Extreme Ownership, where it's like, you just own it. This is the situation. It's your situation. Deal with it. But if you're starting a business, I recommend just taking responsibility for everything, even if you had nothing to do with it. Because if your product touches it, you had something to do with it. So deal with it. Fix the problem. Engage with the supplier. If they're causing problems with them, call with your stuff, call them up and say, how do we fix this? And then if they say, we're not going to fix them, then you replace them or find somebody else or shop around. If they don't change it and you keep on living with it and you're letting them continue to mess with your business, that's on you. Anything that goes wrong is on you. You picked that supplier. You hired that person. You started this company. You decided to do this stuff. You designed the product that way. You created a box that wasn't tough enough to ship. And yes, that is not blame. It's still not blame. That is responsibility. Because when you have responsibility, you have power. Power is a form of responsibility where you have to get these things done and do it on time. And when you know that that's your job, you get very creative about how to get it done. That was repeating the same statement over and over again a bunch of times. But yes, if you're starting a business, everything's your fault. That's a good thing. Embrace it and then use that power of taking ownership of it to fix it. Amazon replaced UPS with their own planes, trains, and automobiles. Larger scale thing, but you can do the same thing. If you're running a bakery, go figure out where to buy flour from somebody good. Figure out how to ship your cookies around. Do whatever it is. Whatever it is. Innovate. Operate. Do what you have to do. But if people are able to roll over you or problems roll over you, you're not going to be successful anyhow. Because there's so many things that will go wrong. Some of them will be your fault. Some of them will be somebody else's fault. But it's just easier to manage if it's all your fault. So that's the topic of the day. If you're starting up a 3D printing business or any business at all, everything's your fault. Deal with it. If it doesn't rain on your crops, still your fault. Should have planted dry wheat and learned how to read the weather better. You'll learn and you get better. Have a great day, everybody.